Hello and welcome. I'm Beth, and today I'm absolutely delighted to be joining some incredibly talented doll friends today in a fun custom doll collaboration. You might already know that Enchanterium have partnered with LoganDolls to create a range of resin BJD dolls. There will be 7 skin colours available in total and 3 different face sculpts, all of which were sculpted by Alex from Enchanterium, paired with the LoganDolls body. You might remember Enchanterium's custom doll video in December, where they customised Ginger, who uses the Kitty face sculpt. For this week's collaboration, they have invited myself and 2 other creators to join them in customising 4 more colour and face sculpt combinations of their lovely doll. You'll find Alex and Barb of Enchanterium customising a doll in the apple green colour with the puppy face sculpt, Sarah from Dimonza Craft with the blueberry colour and the bunny face sculpt, Elisa of Moonlight Jewel with the light skin colour and the puppy face sculpt, and of course myself with my own favourite, the plum skin colour and the bunny face sculpt. I'm so excited to see what each of our friends can come up with for each of the beautiful dolls that we've been gifted by Enchanterium. You'll find the link for pre-ordering them in the description box below, so go check them out after you watch all of our videos. A huge thanks as well to Barb, who 3D printed all the parts for all our dolls, and to Alex, who did all of the sanding. I can confirm these dolls are silky smooth with no layer lines in sight. Alex, I simply must know what your technique is because it's crazy how smooth they are. So we've each been given a blank doll to customise as we choose. I know that they're still working on the final packaging with LoganDolls, but she came to me very safely wrapped with a padded bag, which was very nice, along with some other goodies. In addition to her default feet and hands, there are a few other hand gestures, all of which are very cute and delicate looking, and a pair of high heel feet, which is just fantastic. They also included for me some blank eye chips. The sculpting of the body is adorable, with a small chest and wide hips, double-jointed elbows and knees, and twistable thighs for fantastic posability. The hands and the face plates are held on with magnets, which makes them nice and easy to swap as needed. She's a lovely doll standing at around 15 inches high, which makes her 1/4 scale. I got right to work sketching out some ideas and thinking about what colour palette I might use with her. I really enjoyed the recent monochrome challenge that I did with Enchanterium, and I decided that I would quite enjoy a similar restricted colour palette for this project. I sketched up a few ideas in purple, pink and blue complementary hues. I looked out a few fabrics from my stash, knowing I would only likely use a couple of them, but I like to think I might have the chance to make another outfit for her in the future. While I flip-flopped about which outfit pieces I would make, I cracked on with her wig. I covered her head with cling film and I used thread instead of elastic to hold the cling film tight behind her ears. I didn't have purple jersey fabric to use for the wig cap, so I went with this tan colour instead. Wrapping with thread again to hold it close behind the ears, I then covered the fabric in a thin layer of hot glue. I was able to quickly remove it and trim away the excess, and then I made quick work of creating some different lengths of wefts using a dark purple fibre I had recently purchased for my Jinshi wig. As you can see, I really like the blunt short bangs for her, and I tried to cut them to length as I went along building up the wig. As much as I love space buns, I felt like I didn't have that much time to tinker with a more complicated hairstyle, and instead opted for a mid-length layered cut. I built the wefts up to the top of her head where I finished the wig with a tightly wrapped spiral, which I pressed down afterwards using heat. I then trimmed and thinned the last upper layers of hair and used a heated metal chopstick to help tame the bangs. I jumped right over to making her some shoes, using one of my favourite methods involving covering the foot with masking tape and sketching on the seam lines. I'm going to make her a simple Mary Jane style shoe, and again I'll use my favourite method, similar to the free Smart Doll shoes pattern I have on my website, bethramsden.com. I layer lining and outer fabric together with the shoe template traced out. I'll stitch on the lines drawn, leaving a small space on each shoe to turn the fabric out. Here they're stitched and I'll trim away the excess fabric before turning them right side out and pressing them carefully. The uppers are ready, and for the soles, I glue cardboard templates to coloured felt, cutting around them with just a millimetre or two of felt extending all around. I can then hand stitch together the back of the shoe uppers and carefully whip stitch the upper to the matching sole with lots of tiny stitches. This gives me a lovely basic pair of pumps, which can also be used with the high heel feet. I'll come back to them a little later to add more details, but for the moment I'm going to paint all the fingernails and toenails of all the hands and feet with a lovely metallic purple acrylic paint. I think they all look super cute with a little manicure, and while waiting for them to dry, I've given her faceplate a couple of coats of MSC matte spray. With the face primed, I can get out my usual pan pastels and watercolour pencils. I tried to put together a collection of colours that would also showcase the complementary colour palette. I started by giving her some soft pink blush, darkening the insides of her ears and applying some colour to her lips. I wanted to give her a darker upper lip, and I just love the rounded shape of them, it's so cute. I pop her wig on briefly to check where I wanted her eyebrows to sit, and then lightly pencil them in purple pencil. I started out with what ended up being quite a bold shaped eyeliner, but I felt it was too strong and knocked it back with some pastel. I was playing around with trying to blend navy into purple, not quite sure at the time of how I wanted the face up to go. I added a little glitter in between layers and added a couple of white highlights to her cheeks. Eventually I found my groove with the face up, adding a little under eye detail, upper eye creases, and I darkened her eyebrows. I also started thinking about her eye designs, using the blank chips I was given and drawing directly on them with watercolour pencil to start with. Bit by bit, I blocked out the colours I wanted to use, with black on the upper eyes, purple for the main colour, and an accent of blue at the bottom, which matches her eye makeup, with a little hint of blue in it as well. I put the eyes aside while a layer of matte varnish over them cured, and decided to start working on her outfit. I have this beautiful warm purple coloured linen-like fabric that I thought draped beautifully and could make a lovely dress for her. I was fortunate to also be given some pattern pieces by Barb that she had created when they made Ginger. I was able to use some of them as a starting point for my own dress. I loved the short puffy sleeves and simple bodice, so I started there, but I would end up making my own changes. The fabric is beautiful, but it does fray quite a bit, which led me to stick to hand sewing for quite a lot of this outfit. I stitched the darts and joined the shoulders, and carefully gathered the sleeves and cuffs before gathering the upper sleeve and attaching them to the bodice. I found that my sewing machines chewed up the hem if I tried to overlock it, so I found myself trimming and blanket stitching the seam allowance inside the dress. I was also able to use iron-on seam tape for a couple of the simpler seams. I wanted to create a lower neckline, so I drew in my own version with a little scoop in the front. I used some black iron-on interfacing to create a facing piece, which I stitched along and then flipped to the inside before pressing in place with the iron. This gave me a lovely clean neckline to work with, and after stitching up the side seams, I then added a simple rectangle of fabric as a waistband. So far I'm really happy with the bodice, and instead of using the shorter circle skirt that the pattern provided, I decided to go with a handkerchief type skirt instead. This uses a square shape with the waist circle in the centre. I'll be able to leave the seams raw by pulling the threads to square them off, and the absence of a turned hem will help the skirt still drape really nicely. And using black interfacing again to create a slot opening in the back. I cut down the centre of 2 parallel rows of stitching and turned the interfacing to the inside, pressed with the iron, so the waist hem is then ready to be matched with the bodice. I trimmed a little from the waistband I had added earlier, and the finished dress looks like this. From my concept pictures, I really liked the idea of a cozy cardigan for her, and it gave me an excuse to finally use this thrifted jumper with a lovely open weave. I drafted a basic pattern, knowing that the slightly larger scale knit fabric would quite likely fray quite a lot, and this also meant that I stuck to hand sewing once again. I was able to reuse the cuffs of the jumper, trimmed them down, and I stitched them onto the ends of her sleeves. Once again, I finished all the edges with blanket stitches to prevent too much fraying. I wanted to finish the neckline with something different, so I looked out this lovely pink velvet ribbon and I hand stitched it to the inside of the cardigan first, before flipping it to the outside and then stitching along its inner edge. I think it looks really cute. I do kind of wish I'd made the sleeves a bit bigger, but I think it will still look oversized on her, which I like. After rearranging my buckles and studs organizer box, I pulled out some purple ribbon and matching buckles to add to her shoes. I also combined some pink ribbons and blue tear-shaped gems because I thought they gave her a kind of melancholy motif. I also made her a little brooch with this combination too. Her shoes were finished off with purple leather soles and a little narrow purple ribbon trim to tidy the edges. I think they look extremely cute on her. Finally, I came back to the eyes, adding some acrylic paint, coloured pen outlines and iridescent flakes to finish the colour, and then a couple of coats of resin to give it a smooth, glossy finish and protect the colour. Her eyes are simply stuck into the head with tack, and with her wig, she's complete. I'll have links to Enchanterium, Diamonds a Craft and Moonlight Jewel in the description box below, so please be sure to check out all their videos today as well. I really can't wait to see what they've done with each of their dolls. A huge thank you and a welcome to my newest Patreon supporters, Kaz, Emily and Lorna. I've been a little quiet over there while I worked on this, but I'll be getting stuck back into my custom doll commissions right away. So a huge thank you to everyone over there for their support. And thank you for watching today's video. I'd really love to know what you thought of my plum-coloured bunny sculpt BJD. I feel like she's a sensitive and slightly mournful little soul, and she definitely needs a cute name, so if you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. I'd love to know what you thought of today's collaboration as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and thank you to my collaborators. This has been lots of fun and rewarding too. Take care of each other, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.